What is the next Minecraft drop? Today, we'll try and find out. Though we do have a hint, let's keep in mind that inside of a Minecraft update, we could have multiple things. There's currently a decent handful of different areas inside of Minecraft that are due for an update. For example, the desert. I don't know how many more years I'm gonna have to keep going back to this thing, but thanks to the beautiful biome backlog mod, it's not a problem. The biome chooser vote from like literally 5-6 years ago now. The desert biome. Look, Mojang, we don't judge. It's not about how long it took you to do it. It's just the fact that you did it. The meerkat, the oasis sub biome, the palm tree. Based off of how Mojang ended up circling back around and adding every single swamp biome chooser feature in the wild update, they've got to do it. Nowadays, it seems like a biome update for, say, the desert is the perfect kind of material for a drop. Now, every time I think about this, I'm always so intrigued by what this stuff could mean. So the idea of palm tree wood, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It's a brand new wood type. It's kind of beautiful. You'll be able to find this tree, I guess, inside of the desert. Maybe there's some new vines growing on it. And that tree, I mean, take the palm wood, turn it into a palm log, and it's a brand new wood type. And maybe an opportunity for green wood at last. And maybe on top of this tree, too, you'll be able to grow coconuts. And perhaps those coconuts or dates, which is how it's done inside of the biome backlog mod. Well, maybe these coconuts could either be a brand new food or a new way to grow the tree. Then we've got meerkats, and what meerkats could actually do, I mean, that's a little bit of a mystery to me. I don't know exactly what they would do. Maybe they'll dig around in the sand. Maybe they want to eat the food or something. I don't know how they could be beneficial, but I see that they could be adorable. Okay, the elephant in the room. These 4 emoji. If you've been touched into the community over the past couple of weeks, then these 4 strange hieroglyphs are something you might have heard a little bit about. When it comes to our next Minecraft drop, at least as of the recording of this video, this is the only certified hint I believe we technically have. Of course, there's a huge way one could interpret those emojis. Stay tuned, more on that later. But there are a couple of other ways one could interpret those emojis as well. If we were looking at those 4 emoji and only those 4 emojis for a hint as to what the next Minecraft drop could potentially be, maybe those emojis symbolize ambiance. After all, an ambiance overhaul is something that Mojang has stated time and time again they would love to get around to doing. In a more recent Minecraft updates with things like this War Blossom that put out these beautiful particle effects in an area, or even that brand new pale oak leaf block that slowly lets leaves actually fall from the thing. I mean, for a minute now, the devs have been toying with the idea of more ambiance being added to the game. On a different note, earlier this year, a little dynamic world called Realism Craft popped up in the Minecraft and Bedrock marketplace. Then, I mean, the Bedrock side of the community, it took it by storm. With this add-on into the world, the leaves actually fall from time to time. There are birds that fly around. The sounds, I mean, I don't know if you can hear them, but they're soundier. And just in general, the ambiance of the entire overworld, it's entirely shifted. Moving around inside of this thing, it not only feels more real, but also a little bit more alive as well. Even if some of the things, like the birds, are simply just animations. Where Minecraft is right now, something like a massive ambiance overhaul to the entire overworld would be a fire update. Experiments. When looking for the next Minecraft to drop, we can't forget about it. One of the largest moves that Mojang made earlier this year involves minecarts. After years worth of requests and the minecart system sort of feeling a little bit redundant, finally, they did it. Now, the minecart overhauls that they've been messing with here are absolutely game-changing. One of my personal favorite ideas here is the idea that minecarts could maybe, actually accumulate speed, quite significantly as well. Because of some sentiments that were echoed by the devs back during the development of a Minecraft 1.18, the second half of the Caves and Cliffs update, we know that they like the idea of maybe balancing transportation a little bit more. Initially, in some of the experimental 1.18 snapshots, we've talked about it before, there were some nice elytra updates that were later removed. In one of the follow-up updates to, I believe, Minecraft 1.20, they took a look at horse breeding. Because of some of the updates that were made, it actually made it a little bit easier for players to get a somewhat decent horse through breeding. Now, if only they could maybe adjust the trees upwards a little bit so our heads don't constantly clip into leaves, that'd be great. Then we've got those wondrous minecart overhauls. So first introduced to the community in late summer, early fall last year, these things are so fire. Combine that fun little speed. Oh, that scared me. Well, I guess for today, we'll just have to launch a villager off to the sunset instead. Combine that whole speed boosting mechanic with some of these other new minecart smoother mechanics as well, and villager, goodbye. I mean, it's literally gone. I don't think I'm ever going to find that villager again. This is so fun. The devs haven't really touched on this minecart overhaul in a couple of months now, so either it's completely done or for whatever reason, there's no way this is the case, but for whatever reason, they decided even though the community loved it, it's scrapped. If the update is done, maybe it'll come to both versions soon. But speaking of villagers, next up, double check, make sure you're subscribed. Most of you aren't. Then for more cool videos like this, updates and more, you're gonna want to be subscribed. Next year's gonna be big. Ooh, next up are villagers. So the villagers, they're beautiful inside of Minecraft, but they're also a little out of balance, not gonna lie. Ever since the 1.14 Village and Pillage update, the game has also changed quite significantly. I mean, if you think about it, Nether update, Cave update, and all of the things in between, yeah, it's a lot. It's almost like the villagers need a second update, and wait a second, they were about to get a second update. What in the world ever happened to those villager revamp updates that were so cool? One of my favorite parts of the villager revamp update was the idea of being able to find other villagers inside of your world, trade with them, and actually unlock maps that would lead you to not only monuments, but different biomes as well. Another fire part of these villager overhauls was the Wandering Trader. Like, at last, the Wandering Trader wasn't just going to be terrible. It would actually be able to buy a little bit of stuff from you, albeit not very much stuff, but like a little bit of stuff. The Wandering Trader trade offers as well, they got a little bit less scammy. For once in our lives, we'd actually be able to find this thing and maybe actually be able to purchase a little bit of goodness at like a little bit more of a decent price. Now, look, don't get it twisted. I'm no fool. I know that the villager updated, maybe at best, it needs a little bit more work. Some of the stuff, like the librarian updates, they weren't exactly the most, like, well-received updates from the community. I always thought it might be a little bit better to distribute certain enchantment trades amongst the other villager professions. The villager updates were last touched in early 2024 with the Armored Paws drop. They've either since abandoned the idea of a villager update or cooked up even more cool ideas that maybe we'll see next. Who knows? Maybe while the devs are at it, because the game has changed so much since it went down, well, the devs could even implement a couple of brand new villagers as well. Maybe that's what they're waiting on, right? Ooh, now, we talked about the desert getting an update earlier, the Badlands biome. This is another awesome biome, currently really cool as it is, but it could be much, much more cool thanks to the amazingly derpy vulture. Alright, so I'm not gonna lie, out of the biome choosers that we're still due for, I think this one is maybe my favorite idea here, because imagine the idea of a vulture. Please stop doing that. I know you like to dance, I know you're excited, but imagine the idea of a vulture, which Mojang had kind of initially made it seem like the vulture would fly around up in the sky, and then if you drop something on the ground, it would swoop down and take that thing, pick it up, and go way back up to the sky. After all, the vulture, it's a scavenger. That's kind of what they do in real life. Now, after that vulture flies up to the sky, what do? Do you have to, like, shoot it down? I mean, that seems a little bit brutal, so maybe there's a different way to attempt it. But also, inside of a Badlands biome revamp, we were taking a look at the idea of tumbleweed being in here. The idea of a tumbleweed plant, aka ambiance update, I mean, that sounds a whole lot like something we talked about earlier. But this right here is that brand new type of crop. It's a prickly pear cactus. You walk up to this thing, bone meal to speed it up. When it's fully ready to go, maybe there's a way to harvest it for a brand new type of food. I mean, at this point, Mojang has to be tired of, like, everybody in the community only eating golden carrots and steak, right? Like, you've got to add some new food that's maybe pretty good. As a whole, out of everything that we've talked about today, this is one of the easiest ideas for an update that would generate a decent amount of hype. Like, actually adding a new bird and a farmable plant to the game, people would love it. Also, take a look at that cactus. That looks a whole lot like a flower, doesn't it? So look, I love the idea of this one as much as, or probably more than the next guy, but I've also really slammed this one in. If I were a carpenter and this idea was a screw, I would have screwed that screw in all the way and dug it in even deeper. So I don't want to talk about it too much here today, but seasons, maybe, possibly. Hopefully. Not only because of that strange teaser that we got, but also some interesting lines of code, strange bugs, and a lot of other things that have been happening in the community lately, all of which I perfectly summed up in this video right here, with neat chapters and everything. Seasons. There's the possibility of a season update with maybe even a weather overhaul included in that update as well for our next Minecraft drop. And boy, that would be huge. Shaders, deferred rendering. So these clips right here, when I was making a preview video from a couple of weeks ago, I put these clips into the video, and then I realized when I was editing the video, hey, I don't think I ever actually released this video. I think it's sitting solidly inside of my video vault, but shaders, take a look at them. They're so juicy. They're beautiful. Shaders over the past year and a little bit more. Like, I believe if my timelines are right, shaders initially debuted on Bedrock Edition in 2023. And yeah, since their debut on Bedrock, they've overgone more and more of an expansion and tons of polishing as well. Whether these beautiful juicy shaders are ready for a release in the next drop or just in a drop at some point to next year, I'm not too sure. But there is the possibility of some sort of graphic overhaul coming to the game. One of the biggest catches with this graphic overhaul, though, is what in the heck in the world happens to Minecraft Java when that happens? Because, shaders, at least right now, it doesn't seem like they're planning to be fully officially supported by vanilla Minecraft on Java. So, I don't know what Java would do. Regardless, though, the full support of shaders in the main version of Minecraft, I mean, this would be a game-changing feature. Minecraft would quite literally never look the same again. And who knows, if we're lucky, maybe the devs will even make a shader pack too. Food. So this one, I think you could maybe draw a connection between the idea of a food revamp or farming update and those 4 strange emoji pretty easily. For one, the sun, I mean, crops, if you want them to grow, you need time, so a calendar, and then you need the sun, a little bit of light. Also, for crops to grow a little bit faster, flowers, pollination, bring that into the mix and voila. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier on, Mojang has to be tired of the fact that the community ignores most of the food in the game. In modern Minecraft, the food system is a system that not only is a little bit confusing with the whole invisible saturation mechanic, but it also just kind of feels a little bit out of date. There are definitely other things that Mojang could do to incentivize actually having a diverse diet in Minecraft, or at the least, eating other foods. Pam's Harvest Craft. If you're into the idea of more food being added to the game, this is one of the best mods of all time. I mean, take a look at all of these different food things, and they all kind of look like vanilla food things too. Now, Pam's Harvest Craft, I mean, it's a gigantic mod, so there's no way to take a look at all of the food here today, but in order for Mojang to modernize this whole food system and maybe a brand new table, say the frying table is added to the game, and perhaps you could like maybe bake foods together to get new effects. Let's say maybe you cook your steak with carrots. Well, now you have steak flavored like carrots, which will give you like speed or something, and well, now that I think about it, you're just back to eating steak. Alright, here we are, the end of the list today. If you've enjoyed this little entry into List Week this year today, do me a huge favor and tap that like button, subscribe for more videos. Throwback to earlier this year, but then also just in general looking back on how Minecraft updates are done, they always listen to community feedback. Earlier this year, when they announced that drop updates were going to be the new thing, they put a whole bunch of focus on feedback and the official feedback site. There's no way they don't know. They have to have heard it by now. The one single update that Mojang has gotten the most amount of feedback for, the one update that the community as a whole probably wishes for the most, well, it's an end update. Now look, I don't really have a clue how you connect the 4 little emoji teaser to an end update, but I guess just keep in mind that updates can have more than one thing in them. Perhaps maybe if we're wishfully thinking here, dreaming a little bit, the end will finally see its refresh or overhaul begin. Haters and doubters will say that an end update is impossible now because of the new drop system, but I don't really think that's the case. Like, do you seriously think that the end is going to remain like this for, like Mojang said, they want Minecraft to last like 30, 50 more years at least? You think it's going to remain like this forever just because of drop updates? Huh? Look, I've got it. Those flowers, clearly, it's representing cherry blossom trees now generating inside of the end. Aha. Next drop, confirmed. Thanks for watching, everybody. Happy holidays. On the end card, there will be a video and a playlist. Pick one of them and dive into it. It's been me, Minecraft's most handsome. Besties, I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.